Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Serdentity podcast. I am your hostess, Elizabeth Dewar Anthony, and I am here today with a lovely young man, a friend of mine, Dr. Alessandro Bartoletti. And we're going to talk today about the hygiene shortage and whatever else comes up when we get to yakking. And I really like Alessandro's philosophy of practice and his chill, gentle approach to patient care. And he was just telling me he's super busy. And I think part of the reason is because of that. So welcome to the
Thank you.
podcast.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, so Serdentity is serene dentistry. And I've been talking about dental trauma for 20 plus years, and and not traumatizing people when we have them in our care. And I think that your practice embodies that philosophy, and that's part of the reason that you're so busy.
Well, thank you. Yes, I mean, our practice philosophy has always been to try to be warm, caring, and making sure that people are comfortable, and explaining everything to the best of our ability, and really not being pushy. And that's actually something the former practice owner stopped in earlier this week, and he said that one of our patients, who I know, would always show up about 30 minutes early. He was always scheduled at the beginning of the day. So he would be listening to everybody as they were kind of getting ready in the back. And he would always say to the former owner, I really enjoy doing this. And I know I come in 30 minutes early, but it's because I'm listening to everybody talk. And I can hear that everybody gets along with everybody else. And said, I know that you've always wanted to do certain procedures, that you've told me that these are things that probably should be done, but you've never pressured me into doing them. So I'm doing everything I can to carry that forward because, that's what made our practice so successful in the past, and what I wanted to continue to bring as far as success is concerned, for now and into the future.
So Serdentity is exactly what you just talked about, that serene atmosphere. And there's no substitute for that. There's no substitute for a staff that is all on the same page, that genuinely like each other, yeah, and enjoy working together. And I don't know if it's social media that just brings it out more, but these dental groups and dental hygiene groups that I'm in, there seems to be a lot of people that are just not in a situation like that. They're unhappy, and it makes me very sad.
Yeah, I see that too, and I concur. It's well, heartbreaking in some instances, really. What I see, what I hear, not just dental hygiene groups, but dental assisting groups that I'm a part of. One of which I'm the only dentist allowed in, because I've been supportive of the dental assistant community for quite a number of years. But yeah, the way I've heard things go is it's tragic, it's awful. Just stuff that the stories I've heard are basically, blow my mind. And it's like, why is this happening? I have no clue. I don't get it. I don't get it.
You just read my mind. And so Serdentity is this philosophy, and I didn't learn any of this in dental hygiene school. This was a thing I cobbled together, and a lot of it I actually learned from my own journey of self-improvement, in 12-step recovery groups, in therapy, and other things, and just from reading and studying. And but so I was able to put this together. And I've always thought, if I can figure that out, how hard can it be?
Yeah. No, it's something that's crazy. I mean, if you treat others well, things will almost always go well. That you'll always have reciprocation, or at least almost always have reciprocation. So, I don't understand why there's so much discord, for as a word, for example, in so many dental teams. What the reasons are, why it's happening, why it's, well, I'm not going to say it's widespread, but it's enough that you hear about it, on a daily basis. And really, what can we do to improve this?
Yeah.
Ultimately, what is it? What's going on in dental culture that's dragging it down? And how can we turn this around? There's got to be a way. I try to kind of promote, cooperation and better relations and everything else, in posts and videos and things along those lines. And there's maybe the occasional other dentist out there that's doing that too, or who agrees with me. I do get some private messages from some saying, "Hey, I really appreciate what you're saying,
Hmm.
and I agree with you." But it's really few and far between, which is weird. Other than that, I'm getting a lot of just silence. I don't know if it's apathy. I don't know if they're just not watching. I don't know if they don't. Yeah, again, apathy, don't care or don't want to care, or you think I'm wrong.
Right.
So right there, and I can't gauge. I have never done a survey, so I can't gauge what that kind of a response is. But yeah, that's where we are.
So Serdentity, I published a book, and it's a talk, The Roots of Dental Trauma, and in I've given it at a few conferences,
Okay.
but you know, it's still it just doesn't seem to be a topic that a lot of dental people want to hear about at a conference.
Yeah, I know. I know. I wouldn't be surprised. What you're saying really doesn't surprise me much at all.
Right? I mean, so they want to hear, here's what cracks me up is they want to hear, how do I make more money? But
Yes.
you're the proof that you can make more money by treating people well. And all my course does is explain this is why these patients are acting the way they're acting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're going to get those, they say, obstinate or ornery patients no matter where you are. I mean, even
Absolutely.
here, we get them here too. Okay, that happens. That's
Yeah.
kind of a fact of life no matter where you are. Okay. But, you know, quite frankly, my practice, I'm not out to make money. I'm not out for the brass ring. That is not the purpose of why we're here. It is not.
Mm-hmm.
And if, quite frankly, all of those, all of the dental, say, I don't know how you would call them, you could maybe
Roots.
consultancy groups, those guys,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
would evaluate my practice and tell me, "Hey, doc, do you realize you are like way overstaffed?" And I'll turn around and say, "Yeah, absolutely. I know I'm overstaffed. I know that I could be earning more or doing better or whatever the case may be. But there's a reason." Now all of my folks can take a vacation and not have to worry about finding people to cover for them for the most part. Hygienists, all right, that's a little bit of a different story. We will get to that. It's not a shortage, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I have enough assistant coverage that, okay, one goes out on vacation, there's another one that fills in that spot, and there's not an issue. Everything still works just as smoothly. So yeah, I mean, you're overstaffed. Yep, it's for a reason. It's to help these folks who are doing a great job in my practice. I really appreciate each and every one of them. To be able to take that vacation so that they don't get burned out, so that they don't get tired out, so they can get themselves refreshed and rejuvenated and come right back to work. That's the whole purpose of it. And yes, it's deliberate, and yes, I know, okay, it costs me more money, but I want my folks to be treated well, treated right, and then I know that they're going to be at their tip top shape and be able to do a great job for our patients. And so my team comes first. That's like rule number one for me in terms of everything, whether it's pay. Okay, so they get paid first, bills get taken care of second, I'm last.
Mm-hmm.
That's a basic rule of mine, and I don't deviate from that. So in my practice, it's our team first, and that's it. Now, again, I don't know how many other practices follow that, but I think that should be followed a lot more than maybe it is.
I completely agree with you. And it's so, to me, to us, it's so basic. I just don't, I don't, but your people are first, the bills are second, and then you're last.
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing, uh, way, an amazing basis for a bit. Well, if you want to call it a business model, whatever,
Well,
you
it's
know, because these are the kind of values that are eternal and that create happiness.
yeah. And so there's that. And then what you alluded to, that is patients keep coming back, to our practice, and they do. And I'll tell you a little quick story about it in a second. But one of the reasons is I did hear this from an orthodontist a number of years ago. But what he said was, treat people right and the money will follow.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's exactly what happens. So treat people right and the money will follow. And that's what we did. And that's what we do.
What's your story?
So I'm glad you asked. So the story is, just yesterday there was a family that came in, and their kids were in high. No, 2 days ago. Sorry, it was Tuesday. Both of the children were in hygiene, and one of them hadn't had bite wing radiographs since 2021. And I was like, look, I told the mom, I get that, and I know that the story. They said the mom would always tell us, hey, we never get cavities. I don't really want X-rays. So I had to tell the mom, look, mom. You know, I personally, can't see between teeth. I'd love to be able to, but I can't. And I don't have X-rays. I really have a lot of trouble being able to take care of you without them, because again, you're not letting me do even just a basic. It's not like I'm asking you for something exotic. I just want the bare basics. Now, and I also said, look, I understand that that I guess there's some financial issues right now with you and your family. So what I wanted to let you know is this. We'll do the x-rays today. We'll do the bite wings today at no charge for you. Okay. And it's a kind of a one-time special thing, because I want to make sure I'm doing right as far as treatment for your family and for you and your family. So we'll do this one time, because I think it's really important. And you've been longtime patients. You've been coming regularly, and so I really appreciate that. And I want to make sure that we do something to recognize that. And she was in tears. She really was, because she said, I was thinking of trying to postpone these cleanings, for a couple of months, but I know you guys are so full that you wouldn't be able to get back to us until March or April of next year, which is the truth. That's how far
Mm-hmm.
out we're booked in hygiene. So I wanted to make sure that we could get in, and we didn't want to skip these appointments and try to wait. So yeah, and I know that they're going to come back. We treated people right, and I know they're going to come back. And they told us, we know we're going to be back. So yeah.
What a beautiful story. These groups, these Facebook groups, these dental hygiene groups and the dental groups, that's a hot topic.
Yeah.
Patients who refuse x-rays, and
Yes,
what
I
do you
know.
do about it?
Yes.
And I love the way you handled that.
So, yeah, that is. But in our area where I practice is an ultra conservative area, um, and we had families that said no to X-rays. When I started as an associate, I was starting to work on some folks, and I'm like, well, wait a second, where are the X-rays? And so my assistant pulled them out. Bite wings were 7 years old. I'm like, no, like I can't make we can't do. I can't work on your child, because I mean, I have no idea. Yeah, sure, I can feel the occlusal decay. I know it's there, but I can't tell you if there's stuff going on between the teeth. I have no clue. Like, we haven't had X-rays in 7 years, and believe it or not, the mother got offended.
Mm-hmm.
The mother said, "I can't believe you're being so aggressive." Aggressive. It's like, we haven't had bite wings in 7 years. I can't wait till you go somewhere else and see what they have to say. I mean, they're going to want full mouth series on your child.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just asking for 4 simple X-rays so I can have an idea of what's going on. Yeah, so that's kind of the flavor of the area. Now, once I became the full owner of the practice, I've kind of started to change the environment. Okay, so it was, it was a little bit maybe more permissive before, which again, every doc has their style, but now it's like, look, we need them in order to be able to do our jobs to the best of our ability. We explain that to patients. And I have said, look, if I don't get them and I have my concerns, I may not be able to treat you, and you may have to find another office. So pretty much 99% of the time, the patients say, okay, let's get the X-rays, and that's that. Okay, you get the 1% that doesn't want it. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm really, I can't do anything more for you because I have
Mhm.
no idea what's going on. And we're just asking for basic stuff. We're not being exotic. We're not being unfair. We're not being aggressive. So you need to find another office that will do what you want. And best of luck to you.
Mhm. I'm glad that's working. That's working the 99% of the time.
Yeah,
And so, sometimes we have to focus on that. The focus on the 99%
correct.
and the 1%.
No, okay. I don't know. Well, actually, I can tell you, yes, there is a spot somewhere about 35 minutes away that doesn't seem to be so attentive to X-rays. But okay, I mean that's on them. That's not on me.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So this the big topic in our profession. Oh, and you had talked about on Facebook needing a hygienist to come in, and I was like, oh, I'll drive down.
Well,
But
thank you.
unfortunately, I was never licensed in Pennsylvania, and I also now my New York state license I didn't renew because I'm retired.
No.
But
Okay.
I was like, oh, I would love to work for him
Well,
for
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
that would be fun. But anyway, so the big topic is the dental hygienist
Mhm.
shortage.
Yes. So, and in a video that I did on TikTok, I kind of explained it that it's more of a reduction of hygienists workforce and not really a shortage in most areas of the country. Now, there are some localized spots where, yeah, it's a shortage, and I can't deny that. But most of the country it is not. It's just a reduction in the workforce, which happened after the pandemic, and it's never really fully recovered. We had a longer list of subs, and I'll be honest, we had a longer list of subs prior to the pandemic, and it's kind of whittled down a little bit. So it is tougher to find subs when we need them. I have to tell you that because it's the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, the solution with the ADA is to just basically bring in whoever and give them a little bit of training, or foreign dentists, and it's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hygienists are very hurt by this.
Yeah. Oh, I would believe it 100%. I think that those solutions are quite frankly pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Maybe if the foreign trained dentist went through a program, a hygiene program here, and passed the board examinations. Okay, fine. Once they have proven themselves to know what they need to know and to be able to deliver the proper care, that's fine. So they need to go through like an accredited hygiene program, okay, in order to do that. That makes them hygienists. Perfectly cool. But no, you don't. Not a 12-week program or an 8-week program or a 16-week program.
Mhm.
No, that doesn't do it. And same assistants. I understand why some of this came about, but I do have strong concerns about them. Yeah. Now there are some dental assistants who are gung ho. They want to scale. They want to polish, and they want to do things properly. That's, okay, we're super gingival only.
Mhm.
And they follow all the rules and everything, and that's great. And they do a great job, and that's great. But if there's super gingival stuff, there's going to be subgingival stuff too. They're not going to touch that. And in a lot of cases, if a doc is doing a like room to room to room to room, just running around,
Mhm.
is that care going to be properly delivered, completely delivered? I mean, I don't know, and that concerns me. It's not that I think the docs are going to do a bad job; they're probably going to do a good job, but it's just the way dentistry has become. It seems more like volume has become more of the important factor,
Yes.
and not so much the right patient care, and quality care. And yeah, those are big concerns of mine.
You know, um, and I wonder, so the pandemic shed a light, I think, on a level of dissatisfaction inside the profession.
Yes.
And I remember at the time there was a lot of fear because of the COVID
Yeah.
virus
Yeah.
and, ventilation and, hygienists were genuinely afraid about going back to practice and being
Yes.
exposed to the disease.
Right.
And there seemed to be a lot of doctors that didn't care, that really just wanted the hygienist back to work. And, I heard from friends in the Hygiene Association that I was the secretary of, you know, they want us to wear the same gown for a week. They think if we just open the window, it's fine. And all these things. And so that kind of got this whole process started.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And and I wonder if the practice model that even though we used it for all those years, right, is not really the best model.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and I'll explain what we did here. When it came pandemic time, we allowed my former partner who retired and we allowed the hygienists to develop the plan.
Mm-hmm.
That is, they came up with what they believed was the best system in order to, keep themselves safe. And they said, here's what we want, and here's what we should be doing. And we're like, okay, so we just put it right into place. So that's how we did it.
What? You gave them
right.
agency? What's the matter with you?
No, but I mean, and it made sense, and I wanted to make sure, and we did, both my former partner and I wanted to make sure that our hygienists, who are great people and do a super job, had everything that they needed and felt safe and felt respected and wanted to come in and were comfortable coming in doing what they needed to do for our patients.
Yeah. So again, why how come you thought of that and like these other 5,399 whatever thousand? Come on. But so the model that I learned after I graduated hygiene school in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
And and you learn so much in dental hygiene school, and the clinical experience in hygiene school is so comprehensive. Mm-hmm. Then I get out and start working in the practice, and they pretty much they just want you to remove tartar, especially what stuff you can see, and polish the teeth and make them look pretty. And
no, yeah, no, yeah, I know what you mean. No, in our practice, I value each and every one of our hygienists provides education that explains things to our patients.
Yes.
And I enjoy listening to all of them because they really do a good job. And that's what matters most, is that they let the patients know, hey, this is what's going on. Look at this. Here, let me show you how you can do this, or let me give you recommendations. These products are really good. Then you can try this out at home. That's what I'm looking for, and I love it when I hear it. And all of them do a good job. And there's some that just like it's like they just keep going and going and going, and they talk about so much. It's like then they start getting behind, so then now we have to kind of like
well, there's a happy medium.
Yeah, but no, I mean, it's good because I want them to be able to explain everything. I want them to do a good job, not just with the clinical care, but to be able to give the patients the education that they need so that they can better take care of themselves when they're home.
Yeah, and that chat and polish is it like a real derogatory term that gets thrown around in dental hygiene circles, but that's what patients expect.
Yes. Yes.
So when I changed my education style over the years, and one of the things I loved about myofunctional therapy was I was able to to inform people about your mouth is this way partly because of your breathing, your mouth breathing, and
Okay.
the airway, and just being able to explain things so I know where your hygienists are coming from. Because when you can explain something to somebody and it makes sense to them, they're like, oh,
Yes.
and
Right.
and you make that connection. I think it's that connection that's it. That's
Yeah.
why we're there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And that's why we have, a lot, we know our patients well. And a lot of that is credit to the hygienists who do a wonderful job of connecting with them. And then it becomes our turn, when we're in the back, our assistants, our EFTAs, and ourselves as docs, we want to make sure that we can connect with the people, and that's an important thing. So I do whatever I can personally to focus on our patients, get to know them, and our assistants do the same thing, and so we all as a team work extremely hard for that, and I think that we've gotten pretty successful at it.
Mm-hmm. How is your hygiene department structured?
In terms of what?
So, like, do you have assisted hygiene, or
No.
so you just have one or two hygienists working at an appointment lengths, and
So sure, we have uh, on Mondays and Tuesdays 3 hygienists working. On Wednesdays and Thursdays there are 2. Now, I mean, an assistant, if needed, will jump in to record probing depths and everything
mm-hmm,
else,
mm-hmm,
and do the charting, but that's as needed.
mm-hmm,
Otherwise, you have your 1 hour for an adult prophy,
mm-hmm,
50 minutes for teens. Oh, so 1 hour. I believe, I may be corrected by my hygienist, but 1 hour for teens that are in braces.
mm-hmm,
Then you got your 50 minutes for teens, and then 40 minutes for children. Those are the times that we have. Now scaling route planning. That's usually it's an hour and a half or 2 hours, depending on the case, and
mm-hmm,
the hygienist can kind of request like an extra bump up of 10-20 minutes depending on the person. So and we'll adjust the schedules accordingly, and
mm-hmm.
so forth, and that's how it works.
And it's working for you. It's
Yes.
financially feasible, and
Yeah.
everybody's happy.
So it's working for me and financially feasible because my practice is the fee for service. So that's what we're going to get to, because that's the next part, and that
Mm,
really is, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is dental insurance, because
yeah,
there you can't ignore the effect of these dental insurance and their company, the companies and their policies,
yeah.
on practices nationwide. And how really, reimbursements have stagnated and not kept up with inflation and cost of
Mm-hmm,
living in the times. And so, certain companies are paying out like $50-$60 per prophy, when you're paying the hygienist, I don't know, $45-$50 an hour.
right.
Well, boy, now once you do the materials and all the other overhead, you're
Mm-hmm,
losing money. You're losing money every single patient who walks in the door. It's like, no, you can't. That not long term. That is not a sustainable model. You're going to lose. So, I tell folks, you got to kind of try to shed those companies,
mm-hmm,
shed at least the bad ones, certainly. And for everybody agrees, but whoa, it's so tough, doc. We can't afford to. All the patients are going to go to another office. We're going to lose out, and then we're going to starve. It's like,
mm-hmm,
no, if you do it strategically, the answer is no. A longtime friend of mine who's in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and for those who aren't familiar with Westchester, it's a very saturated area. There are tons of dentists there. You can almost take a rock, throw it in any direction, you'll hit a dental office. There are buildings with multiple dental offices in them. It's very packed. But over the course of a number of years, he just slowly but surely eliminated plan after plan after plan after plan. He's now fully fee for service, and he's in a saturated area. He's doing fine. He's doing
mm-hmm,
fine, and so it can be done. It's just a question of how you do it. You don't do it cold turkey unless you're confident enough and you realize that you can. You have to strategically plan that. So yeah, if you can do it cold turkey and dump all your plans at once, great. But for the most part, it's going to be okay. We take 1 or 2 here, drop them. We take 1 or 2 another year, drop them. You just keep on pairing them off until you're done. And believe me, you end up in a better place that way.
I started my dental career as the front desk. Um,
Mhm.
And this was in 1985 when everything was paper, and I had a
Yeah.
pegboard, and that's when dental insurance was great. And we
Yes,
had,
right.
and Rochester,
That's when it was great.
yes, when Rochester, New York had lots of had great employment, and people had great dental insurance. So there would be patients where like the husband and the wife both worked these production jobs at any of the local factories, and they would have credit balances from their insurance payments.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's really sad and pathetic what has happened to the dental insurance industry, but the patients haven't figured that out yet, and they're
I think
lied
they're
to.
starting to. They're starting to
Yes.
figure it out, but it's not many. But yeah, I can tell you that being in the Air National Guard, I encountered one person that.
Right.
So yeah, one person said, "Well, we both have we have two different dental insurances, but yet they didn't pay for almost anything." I'm like, "So why do you have the two dental insurances then?"
Right.
He's like, "Yeah, we're paying a lot of money and we're not getting any benefit at all." I'm like, "There you have it." I mean,
Yep.
so why do you have these? And he's like, "All right, we're going to drop them because we're losing money every month, and these guys aren't paying out." And like, okay, no, I mean, you got to evaluate for yourself what's right for you. But from what you're saying, it sounds like dental insurance isn't helping you at all. In fact, if anything, it's hurting you. So maybe it's time for you to stop participating with this, stop keeping on paying, being a customer of the dental insurance company,
Mm-hmm.
and instead paying out of pocket. And it sounds like the way you've described it, you're going to save money at the end of
Right.
the day.
Right.
So yeah.
um so if and I've recommended that for many years to people, unless your insurance is free,
Yes.
don't pay for dental insurance.
Right.
And but these dental insurance companies and HR people, patients are not being told the truth, or only part,
Right.
about what's really the deal with their dental insurance.
Yeah.
And so and that creates stress, right? That creates a lot of stress in the practice when patients come in, and they're expecting one thing to happen and then another thing happens.
Right.
That's really
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now, a number of us, like I know I've created a couple of videos about dental insurance, mainly on my YouTube channel. There's probably one on TikTok as well. But one thing I can say is that instead of the dentist kind of trying to explain about why they're eliminating dental insurance or they're paring back on participation with certain plans, I think it could be more of a team thing. That is, the hygienist can help explain to patients, hey, this is
Mhm,
why we are going to be kind of slowing down on participating
mhm,
or stopping and not participating with certain plans.
mhm.
And that way it's a team thing and it helps patients because patients, the first people they're going to listen to really are our hygienists and our assistants because
Mhm.
they're the people that they talk with the most. And
Right.
so why not have everybody on board and saying, hey, look, this is what we're getting from dental
Right.
insurance companies, aside from the delays and denials that they're giving you. And so now we're waiting on stuff and they keep on coming back to us asking for more stuff, even though we've already sent them like 10 different pieces of documentation. They want piece number 11 and 12 just
Yes.
because maybe it's a leap year and they decided that they needed those things.
Right.
I don't know, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's what's going on. But I think it'd be a great thing if everybody starts saying, hey, this is what's going on. Maybe you should consider either changing plans or and having that discussion with patients that we don't know if really your dental insurance company is doing you that many favors. And
Mhm.
then we'll see what the response is.
Right. And so I was also it just kind of came in my head. So, back to this serenity, you know, um, self accountability is plays into that. And when we educate our patients about their insurance, and we're helping to help them to bring them into responsibility
Mhm.
for their health, their financial health, their certainly their dental health, but also their financial. And you know, I don't, what dental insurance has created this uh barrier that patients
Yeah.
don't feel like it's their responsibility to just take care of them, to take care of themselves.
Right. And I can see that happening. Again, my practice is a little bit unique. We've been fee for service the entire time. From the moment it was conceived years and years ago, which would have been over 45 years ago. So
Wow.
we've never participated ever, 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 ever with any dental insurance company, and our patients all know that. We explain that, and we even say when we're on the phone, we actually have not taken a new patients since March of 23, March of 2023. We stopped taking new patients. So people will call, they'll ask, hey, do you participate with insurance? It's like, no, we don't. So that our straight answer is no, we don't. We'll give you a receipt with the procedures we did. You send that to your insurance company. They'll reimburse you for what for what their portion is. You're responsible for the entire bill up front. And that's just the way it's been. So that's how we're structured. And we really have very few issues with that because everybody knows that's just how we've operated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess now dental insurance companies are kind of getting a little more aggressive in their you know, lying to patients about like what the deal is. Um, I heard on one of the Facebook groups that we're both in, dental insurances companies reaching out to patients to say, what about this? Giving them like false information or, presenting uh information in a way that makes the dental insurance company look way better
Well,
than
yeah.
it is.
No, I know we had years ago, actually not, it was not long after pandemic, one of our patients received a letter from one of the major dental insurance company players. I won't name them. They've become like you could say they've become one of the two most disliked ones
Yeah,
in the
yeah, the
country.
poster
Right.
child for
Yeah.
like,
So but they sent the letter saying, "Hey, why don't you go to this dentist that is
mhm,
one of our Delta?" Oh, sorry, I named them. Oops. Oh well. But they said it. They sent the letter, and they actually ticked off our patient because the patient then said, "No, I don't want to go somewhere else. I'm comfortable with you guys. I don't want to go to some other dentist that that I don't know, that I'm not comfortable with, and so that doesn't know me, that doesn't know
mhm,
what I like and what I need and what I want." So no, I'm not going to go anywhere else. I'm going to stay with you guys. She was
mhm,
offended. She was actually very offended that the dental insurance company would dare do something like that.
mhm.
So yeah, no, I know, and it's not the only time that certain dental insurance companies that will otherwise remain unnamed
Like
have sent letters
Voldemort.
out, like that to patients when a dentist is considering either dropping them or has dropped them. I mean,
Mhm,
that's something that we've all heard of. And so it's like, okay, I mean, if that's those are the games that they play. And I mean, again, I know them. I know that that's the game that they play. And I only saw that letter once because she actually brought the letter in. We copied it.
wow.
So she brought it in for us. But I mean, I'm sure certain patients will decide, oh, sure, I'll go to the other dentist because they're with, X insurance company. Okay, fine. That's fine. Go ahead. In this area, actually, a lot of the offices, whether they participate or not, are not taking new patients. So you may be looking for a while, but okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had patients do that and
Yes.
come back to you.
It may not be all of them, but a number will leave our office for an office that participates with insurance, but will come back. And I actually don't know where they went. I have no idea,
Mhm,
but they said we felt like we were treated like cattle.
mhm,
And so, yeah, I mean, those were their words, and it's like, okay, now I'm gonna have to say it's been a while because there otherwise really very few patients leave. They mostly stay with us, and so yeah, I mean, it was a while ago, and those patients came back. That family came back, and they've been with us ever since. So yeah, I mean, I think people are getting wise to this.
mhm. So what I'm thinking too is our profession is heading toward a bit of a paradigm shift with sleep dentistry, airway dentistry,
Mhm.
um, and better knowledge of the oral microbiome, and eventually, I think that's what I'm hoping for. And as that continues to happen, um, this we will become less technical and
Right.
more I don't know what the word is. Holistic. I hate that word holistic because it's a freaking marketing term, but it's and the people who market themselves as holistic, a lot of them.
I know. I know because I'm familiar with the quote unquote holistic dentist. And yes, that it appears to be, in my opinion, a bit of a marketing term, and that yeah, that certainly some of them are definitely not that way at all. But they've had to decide to label themselves as such, to make themselves perhaps busier. I don't know,
Right, right.
but yeah, I know.
But so your practice actually is more truly holistic because you are treating the patient, the person, the human, not
Right.
just this mouth.
No, yeah, we want to make sure people are healthy. That's the bottom
Right.
line. Yeah.
What is the big freaking mystery of that, the rest of our profession doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I don't know. I think it's part of it might be motivated by these gigantic student debt loads
Mhm.
that the new kids are coming out with. Part of it, I mean, could be just, I don't know, dental insurance. Part of it is dental insurance, and then there's the greed factor. I mean, I'm never gonna deny that. I mean, every profession has that. It's not just us. They're going to be that way. There's going to be physicians that are that way. There's going to be
Mhm.
osteopathic physicians that are that way, podiatrists that are that way. I mean, you name it. You name the specialty profession. It's going to happen.
Mhm.
Um, that's a part of life.
Yeah. And I guess I'm kind of naive sometimes where I think if I could just say the right words to these people who you just described, that they're gonna all of a sudden change. Like all of a sudden they're
No,
gonna be like, oh my God,
yeah,
well, why
no.
didn't I think? And yeah, so I think I set myself up sometimes for disappointment and and frustration, trying to change the minds of people whose minds won't be changed.
Right. I can understand that.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that's because we're passionate about these topics, and
Yeah.
we genuinely want to see other people benefit from our experience and knowledge, and you know
Yes. No, I absolutely.
sometimes it's an uphill battle.
It can be.
But I just really I wanted to talk to you again today because because I love talking to you, and
Thank you. Appreciate it.
and I really wanted to hear more about this, the hygiene shortage in your commentary about it, because I think it's really important to get as many voices out there as possible. So,
Right. So again, like I said, it's a reduction in the hygiene workforce. And I even kind of sent out in my TikTok a question: Hey, what do you think the good solutions for this are? Because it's a problem, but what I haven't heard is really solutions. I offered my own, which was maybe consider either expanding the existing classes of hygiene students slightly. I'm not to say take double the size, because then that
mhm,
would reduce the quality of education. But hey, add 2, 3, 4 students per class.
Mhm.
somehow just try to ramp it up that way, even though it'd be gradual, it would still work. It just takes time. Or
Mhm.
opening new dental hygiene programs,
Mhm.
and that could make a difference too. So those were my ideas, and I heard a lot of hygienists, chiming in with some of the same thing, and so I was very appreciative that they put in their own 2 cents and their own input into this, because we can all kind of pull our hair out and talk about a problem, but
Right.
really the best thing to do is let's try to figure out a solution together, not like legislatures kind of
Right.
pounding some sort of a solution in, just because some dentists decide, hey, we need to do something, and providing a solution that's really, quite frankly, subpar.
Mhm.
Let's get a good solution that's going to work and make a real difference, that matters, and that won't put patients at risk. I mean,
Mhm.
really, that's what it comes down to. I want good care for the patients. Let's find a solution that will continue to provide that for our patients.
And so I practiced dental hygiene for 35 years. And it's only only in the last, I never didn't love what I did. I
Mhm.
did I didn't always like getting up and going to work in the morning, but
Right.
I love that, and I miss it. Now that everybody dreams about being retired, but
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
something very fulfilling and stimulating about that contact with people and that connection.
Yeah.
And
There is. There is.
so I miss that part of it.
Yeah.
Um, but I always loved what I did. And
Good. Great.
and part of it I really attributed to my attitude.
Mhm.
And I see the same thing in you. And
Thank you.
I'm just really grateful, for having you on today and that we get to
Oh,
talk
thank you
about
so
it
much.
together.
Yeah.
And I just wish that our fellow professionals would see this podcast and be like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing all these years?
Yeah. Well, and maybe we will. Maybe some people will, pay attention, and maybe there will be some change. Hopefully.
Hmm. So I really want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. And I wish you all the best in your practice. And I'm sure we'll see each other certainly in the virtual world, and
Yeah. Most certainly.
and maybe sometime in real life.
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much, Elizabeth, for having me on the show, on the podcast. And I appreciate it. It's my pleasure to come onto the podcast and answer the questions and hopefully provide insights and thoughts and things that can ultimately help us all.
Yeah. So thank you, and we'll see each other soon.
Yeah, sounds great. See you
All
soon.
right.